Can't believe it's been over a year since I posted a video to YouTube there. Somehow I have like 600 subscribers, which is crazy to me that there are 600 people out there that want to watch me goof around in the shop, but that's really exciting. So thanks everyone for following along. We've gotten some stuff done on the machine here. Admittedly, this project is the first to get backburnered. We got a lot going on. I got this brew actuator done, which I'm pretty excited about. It's got a just a regular old toggle switch mounted in there, and then I machined this stainless steel piece to actuate it, which feels nice. That worked out good. And then let's see what else. Started some of the plumbing. This is the drain plumbing. So you can see this is the brew valve, which will open up when you start brewing coffee to allow pressurized water to go into the coffee, and then when you turn it off, it'll drain the excess pressure from the basket of the coffee out through this line and then out through the drain. And then also this is a pressure relief valve, or an overpressure valve. Sometimes they call it an expansion valve. So when the water in the brew tank heats up, then it'll expand a little bit and kind of push the excess water out. So this basically limits the amount of pressure that could be in the brew tank. You just set it something above your brew pressure. So in this case, you probably set it to like 10 or 11 bar or something. Got a steam wand in, or at least roughed in, kind of just keeping it simple with the ball valve. I machined a piece here. Actually cut apart a traditional steam valve and machined it so that way the articulation works nicely. That's something that didn't work very well on my last machine, so I think this will be a lot better solution. It's a double wall cool touch steam wand from a Espresso, which I think will be fantastic. That's going to be nice to have. Coming around the back side here, you remember in the last video that we mounted the pump, so that's all in, and then the outlet of the pump there has a T-fitting. One side goes over through this flow meter, which will monitor the flow into the brew tank. Brew tank has a check valve in it, so water can get pushed into the tank, but the expansion of the water can't push backwards back into the pump or into the inlet. And then the other side of this T goes the other direction to this valve here, which would open to allow water to be pumped into the steam tank. Once the steam tank gets low, then that valve can open and pump can turn on to pump water into the tank. And then this is a pressure transducer, and what that does is just monitors the steam tank pressure, so that way you can set the pressure and adjust it on the fly, which I think will be a really nice thing to have. I also added, let's see, this is a vacuum breaker. I just came up with this funky elbow assembly to, and all that does is as the, from a cold tank, it's full of air. The top half is full of air, and so when the water starts to boil, it'll push all the air out through this valve, which is closed, and then once you get enough velocity of steam coming out of there, it'll close this valve, and then it'll start to build up pressure, so that way you don't end up with a bunch of air in your tank. And then there's also this over pressure or pressure relief valve here that's set to, I think this one's set to 2.5 bar, and all that is a safety switch, so if the steam tank runs away, then that'll purge out all the extra steam or the overpressured steam before anything catastrophic happens. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I have a couple ideas here. There's this valve here that I've been tinkering with. This is just another ball valve with the handle removed temporarily, but I think that might mount somewhere right there, and then there'll be this sort of spigot or faucet mounted like that for hot water, so that way if you're making an Americano or tea, you can draw hot water off the steam tank. I think that might plumb over this direction and down this way, and then maybe pick up that fitting so it'll draw hot water off the bottom of the steam tank. I think that'll work out okay. Not exactly sure yet, but that's kind of the thought for now. I also bought this controller here that I'm excited about, where this is a touchscreen display, like an LCD or an LED touchscreen, and then it has this rotary knob here to control different parameters, and then you can click it, and then it's also a touchscreen. So the idea is that this would mount somewhere in place of a gauge, maybe like I'll make a mounting bracket or something to mount it there, and then you can control the machine and adjust different parameters on the fly. I don't exactly know how I feel about that. It's an ESP32 control, and I've never programmed that before. I have some experience with Arduino, so maybe I'll try that, just using the Arduino IDE, and see if I can figure it out. I don't exactly know. So what is this thing? This is a MaTouch ESP32 rotary. Pretty excited about it. I think it'll be a cool thing. I just don't know for sure. Other stuff I got to work on. Here's another pressure transducer, just like for the steam tank. I got to mount that to the brew tank here, so that'll probably mount over here, I guess, and then plumb in here, and so that'll monitor the brew tank pressure, and then presumably it would be displayed on maybe a analog looking gauge that's displayed on the control there. I don't really know. We'll see how that goes. Aside from that, I think most of the plumbing is done. One of the projects we're working on right now is this portafilter. It's a Canal. Canal is our brand we're working on. So it's a lightweight portafilter, which is great for professionals because it kind of saves the joint, so you don't have to sling around a heavy portafilter all day. It's got these ear liners, so it's a lot easier to tighten into the group. You know, stuff like that. So check it out. It's canalseattle.com. We're pretty excited. That launches on Tuesday, February 27th. So hopefully I get this video out before then. We got some new stuff going on in the shop. We got this new machine, Haas VF4 SS, which has just been so much fun to learn how to use and mill parts out. That's just a total blast. Really enjoying this thing. We also got a couple of these Bamboo X1 carbon 3D printers. These things are fantastic. It's really unbelievable how reliable these things are with the AMS. So those have been a fantastic asset to have here in the shop. Having a lot of fun with those. I made this enclosure for our air compressor. The air compressor was extremely loud and obnoxious, probably the loudest thing we got in the shop. So made this out of MDF and insulated the heck out of it. So the air compressor hides in there. The fan to keep it cool. This thing was really fun to make. There's an air plenum inside in the back where air can go in here and then get exhausted out of the bottom. There's a drain, so we just slide a bucket under there and drain out the air compressor a couple times a week. So thanks again everyone for following along. I'm just gonna keep working on this machine as I can, and I'll post as frequently as I can. Hopefully it won't be another year before you hear from me. Thanks everyone.